Humans are not by nature nocturnal. We do not see well in the dark. Other eyes see better and make the night their own. This is their time, a time when fangs and powerful jaws serve better than a spear or rifle. A time when human intelligence is petrified by a more primal cunning. A time when an ancient enemy roars out its challenge, and the roar reverberates through the deepest caverns of the human psyche. This is not a circus act. If safari operator Mike Penman panics and runs, he will be killed. The attack camera team has followed Mike to this wild arena to capture on film the ultimate test of our human ability to dominate lions, Africa's most charismatic man-eaters. Our journey began here at a fence that follows nothing more than a line ruled on a map by old colonial powers. The fence is hardly a Berlin Wall, yet it marks the border between a land of despair and a land, supposedly, of milk and honey. On one side is Mozambique, on the other, South Africa. After decades of brutal civil war, Mozambique is locked in the grip of grinding poverty. South Africa, on the other hand, is known as the America of Africa, a land of opportunity where the streets, if not exactly paved with gold, carry more than their fair share of luxury cars. Symbols of a lifestyle that Mozambicans also aspire to. This elusive dream draws desperate Mozambicans to the fence, where for many it is the beginning of a hideous nightmare.
My name is Zakaria Sitoy. I come from Matare. We want to help ourselves and get money. We've been here since last year because of the floods at home. It's hard to make a living or survive at home, so that is the reason we go around looking for food and jobs on the farms. It took a long time to find myself in this place. It's a matter of taking the risk. If you need to make a living, you have to take a chance. If we get killed, we get killed. If we live, we live.
Zachariah and his companions don't have passports, let alone visas. They will enter South Africa illegally, at night. But it is not immigration officials, police or soldiers that make this border crossing so dangerous. On the other side of the fence lies South Africa's Kruger National Park, home to one of the largest lion populations in Africa. The refugees must move at night to avoid detection by the authorities. This puts them squarely in the realm of killers that have no comprehension of the dreams that drive desperate people. At night, lions are supremely dominant and unnervingly confident. Lions favor the darkness because their remarkable senses give them the edge over their intended victims. They stalk in as close as possible before exploding into the chase. The tsessebe seems an easy victim, but even with the advantage of strength and cunning, lions only succeed in 1 of 10 hunts. Lions can run at speeds of some 60 kilometers an hour, about twice as fast as a human sprinter. But they're slow in comparison to more regular prey, like antelope, wildebeest, and zebra. Nor do lions have much stamina. They can't extend the chase over more than a couple of 100 meters. So the success of the hunt depends primarily on stealth and cunning. Lions are designed for the business of killing. Hugely powerful forelimbs and shoulders wield mighty paws, armed with sharp, curved, retractable claws. A single swipe from one of these paws would be enough to scalp you. Lions are essentially wrestlers, and once the prey is subdued, the business of killing is attended to. Larger prey is killed by strangulation or suffocation. The lion clamps its jaw around the throat or mouth till the victim can no longer breathe. Smaller prey is simply overpowered and often eaten alive. Such are the dread fears that are carried into the night by the Mozambican border jumpers. These power lines carry electricity between Mozambique and South Africa. They also assist a less legitimate form of traffic by providing Mozambican border jumpers with a visual compass towards the industrial heartland of South Africa. While patrolling Kruger Park, game scouts like Sergeant Carlos Ndlovu often find evidence of Mozambican border jumpers.
This power line is from Mozambique. It runs right the way to South Africa. The refugees crossing the border follow these power lines from Mozambique on their way to South Africa to look for jobs. During the day, they mainly walk through the bush so that the soldiers who patrol the borders of the park won't catch them. But at night, they follow this route under the power lines on their journey to Johannesburg and the jobs they are hoping for.
The evidence includes items that appear to have been abandoned in fearful haste.
In the morning, we find footprints, and these are some of the things they leave behind. They use the plastic bottles to carry water and food in, and when they are finished, they just throw them anywhere, which is causing a litter problem in the park. This shoe was also left here, and it shows that the owner was probably chased by something and was in a hurry. They must have continued barefoot. As you can see, this shoe is very small and probably belonged to a youngster.
Did the owner of the shoe take fright at some sudden sight or sound of lions? We will never know. Kruger Park is renowned for the science that guides its wildlife management programs. When the attack camera team arrived at the park, buffalo were being tranquilized and relocated. Tuberculosis from buffaloes had been spreading to the lions that preyed upon them. The operation was overseen by Kruger's senior veterinarian and manager of game capture, Dr. Do Grobler. We spoke to Dr. Grobler about lion attacks on Mozambique border jumpers.
We found one person, and they were 5 the previous night, sitting under a tree with a nice big fire. And they were tired on their way to South Africa. And the next thing, there were 12 lions around them. And they made the fire bigger and, hurled some logs at the lions. And the lions just didn't care about the fire. And they took one guy out right next to the fire whilst they were still screaming and shouting there. And the other 4 went up the tree. And they finished the guy right underneath them there. And one of the lionesses went up the tree and pulled one guy down. And they finished him. She went up again. And so they finished 4 of the 5 guys. And she went up for the last guy, and he was sitting right in the top of the tree already. And she couldn't get him. Obviously, they were probably already fully eaten as well by then. They also became a problem for our own staff. They started chasing rangers on bicycles, and they almost took people off the back of a vehicle. Very, very strange behavior, and we removed them.
It's impossible to know exactly how many people have been killed and eaten by lions along the Mozambican border. Through the many years of strife, most victims have gone unrecorded.
They acted completely strange. I mean, I can still remember that when we moved in to catch them, we had a zebra that we tied around a tree, a zebra carcass.
This amateur footage was taken on the night the Kruger Park authorities reluctantly eliminated this group of 5 man-eating lions.
And it seemed that they were more interested in us almost than in the zebra. They was not really interested in the carcass. Later on they slowly started eating, but as soon as you get out of the vehicle, they were very interested. You know, it was quite a strange phenomenon.
Man-eating is often ascribed to old toothless lions, lions that can no longer bring down natural prey. But these man-eaters are in prime condition and possess excellent teeth. For humans, the killing of a lion brings mixed emotions. While the regal lion has become a powerful symbol in human history, the relationship has always been complex. When hominids first evolved on the African savanna, the lion was dominant, but intelligence and technology allowed the lion hunt to become a tradition in a ritual dominance over our most respected foe. In East African tribes, the rite of passage into manhood involves the death of a lion, and although horrific, this ritual is undertaken with great respect. A certain measure of caution has always been vital to lion survival. Lion cubs are often left alone while their mothers are out hunting, and during this time, the cubs are vulnerable to any number of predators, and they hide at the first sign of danger. Shared membership of the big cat family doesn't make leopards friendly to lions. If a leopard finds unattended lion cubs, it will kill them. Lions, for their part, have no scruples about killing leopards or stealing whatever a leopard has caught. Leopards aren't big enough to fight lions on equal terms. They rarely weigh much more than 60 kilograms, which is about half the weight of a lioness, and a third the weight of a male lion. The leopard's solution to theft by lions and other scavengers is to cache prey between high branches. Lions can also climb trees, but not as skillfully. Leopards are too solitary to gang up against lions. Hyenas, on the other hand, are gangsters par excellence. Popular myth has represented them as cowardly scavengers, but they are, in fact, intrepid hunters in their own right. And often, it's the lions that scavenge from the hyenas. There's instinctive warfare between lions and hyenas, and the lions don't always win. This lion has been blinded by hyenas. His ability to hunt and keep his place in the hierarchy will be severely affected, and he will lapse towards an early death. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors competed with lions much as hyenas do. They obtained fresh meat by mobbing and intimidating lions into leaving the kill. At other times, our ancestors lost the spoils of their own hunts to scavenging lions. Even today, many lions still regard us as rival predators, and the fixed stare of those bottomless eyes stirs our deepest primal fears. Given that most lions perceive humans as a threat rather than a prey species, why do some lions become man-eaters? What is the factor that switches us, in leonine perceptions, from a dangerous competitor to a desirable food item? Seeking answers, the attack team visited the home of the most notorious lions in recorded history, the man-eaters of Tsavo. These 3 men form the core of a safari operation that specializes in walking among Tsavo's wildlife. The Tsavo region covers over 8,000 square miles and forms Kenya's largest national park. Its apparent tranquility is deceptive. Indeed, the very name Tsavo means place of slaughter. Ian Allen, Clive Ward, and Mohammed Hamisi undertook to give the attack team a glimpse of the elusive descendants of Tsavo's original man-eaters. The railroad and bridge across the Tsavo River were first constructed around 1898 as part of the British Empire's thrust into Africa. The construction workers were brought out from British Imperial India. They were a very long way from home and had no previous experience of lions. Ian Allen picks up the story.
It was here in 1898 at the Tsavo River that the British Empire was literally stopped in its tracks by 2 lions. You can imagine camps all around here housing 4,000 men. And it was at this point that disaster struck.
The disaster took the form of 2 unusually large and strangely maneless male lions. History inevitably links the lions to the head of the construction effort, British military engineer John H. Patterson. Patterson was an enthusiastic big game hunter, and while serving in India had shot tigers. But at Tsavo, his happy prospect of bagging a lion soon turned to horror. His personal servant was taken and devoured. Patterson wrote in his memoirs,
"The ground all about was covered with blood, morsels of flesh and the larger bones. But the head was left intact, save for a couple of holes made by the lion's tusks. It was the most gruesome sight I'd ever seen. The horrified, staring eyes of the severed head seemed to watch me all the time, for I did not bury it, but took it back to camp for identification. I vowed then and there that I would spare no pains to rid the neighborhood of the brutes."
Well, Patterson tried to second-guess these lions, but for some reason or another was unable to do it. The lions would hit a different camp every night. They would rip open the tents, they would get inside, they would grab the coolies, pull them out, and eat them within hearing distance of the other men.
The lions' reign of terror lasted 9 months, and construction of the railroad was seriously delayed. One of the man-eaters stalked Patterson himself. He fired repeatedly into the darkness and found next morning that he had killed his would-be killer. Dispatching the second man-eater proved even more nerve-wracking.
Finally, he managed to track it to this gully, and more by luck, I think, than good judgment, the lion had a go at him while he was in a little makeshift platform, and he managed to get one very, very good bullet into it. For the next 20 minutes, this lion came at him, and each time it would inch forward, Patterson would get another shot into it. It would keep coming, he would get another shot into it, and finally, when it was peppered with bullets, it died some 5 feet from his feet.
To describe Patterson's methods as successful would be inappropriate. Despite all his efforts, the 2 lions had managed to kill and eat some 140 construction workers. Much was made of the Tsavo lions' hunger for human flesh, but in truth, the lions wouldn't have been influenced primarily by their taste buds. Lions simply focus on prey that's numerous and vulnerable and invent appropriate hunting tactics. At Tsavo, that prey was humankind. Here it's impala flocking to a waterhole. One lioness waits behind an anthill and lets the impala head peacefully towards the water. The second lioness bides her time, then scares the impala into a headlong retreat. Trapped between the water, the reeds, and the second lioness, these impala must run directly towards the fatal anthill. Explanations for why lions come to specialize in man-eating are numerous and controversial. One theory depends on the fact that, like the impala hunters, cubs will be brought up learning the pride's hunting techniques. These patterns will be taught to the young, and so passed on through many generations. A pattern or culture of man-eating may have arisen among Tsavo's lions, because Tsavo lay on the old trading routes for ivory and slaves.
The Arabs would move as far inland as what is present-day Uganda, and they would capture these men, and then they would use them to carry the ivory down to the coast. That would be a journey of 3 to 4 weeks. And usually by the time they were approaching Mombasa, 3 or 4 days out from the town, anyone who was in poor health or less than average physical specimen, they would just toss them out into the bush. So during that period, and we're talking of 300-400 years, the predators of this region around what is now the Tsavo River, which is the last significant water source before Mombasa, 3-day walk away, they all had a very, very strong craving for human flesh.
This theory of man-eating does not hold true for the human predation along the border between Mozambique and South Africa. The border was never a trade route, but the lions here have without doubt killed even more people than the man-eaters of Tsavo. There is a simple explanation for both the Tsavo and Mozambican scenarios. When lions find a particular type of prey to be both vulnerable and abundant, they quickly learn to specialize and focus their skills and efforts on that prey type. Specialization in warthogs is one example of the phenomenon. Warthogs are the only sizable prey that retreat into burrows for the night. Some lion groups acquire the knack of digging warthogs out of their burrows, or waiting patiently for the warthog's emergence at dawn.
We had cases here where lions did catch quite a few people over a short period of time. It happened over the Easter period about 2 years ago, where it was known that about 12 to 14 people were caught in 3 to 4 weeks by a specific group of lions.
By the time I saw the lion, it was already jumping onto me. I could not defend myself. It was only 2 meters away from me when it jumped. I was with my colleague, Thomas, but he could not do anything. The lion grabbed me by my right shoulder and I fell down on the ground. It bit my shoulder, then my ear, then my other shoulder. I'm almost deaf. As you can see, I have scars all over my body from that day.
The attack left Gwyneth paralyzed permanently across one side of his face.
So, it's difficult to say that they started concentrating on people. I think there was just a stream of illegal immigrants at that time.
Of course, most lions have never specialized in humans, and by day a dangerous encounter can be avoided simply by backing away slowly. At night, it is a very different story. But there is a man whose sport, passion, madness, death wish, call it what you will, involves face-to-face interaction with unfamiliar wild lions. His name is Mike Penman.
A huge inland lake that Botswana once was had a sump, the deepest point. That's where we are now, the Machadi Pan.
The attack team joined Mike in Botswana, a spectacularly beautiful desert country northwest of South Africa and southwest of Kenya. Our purpose was to accompany Mike on a search for leonine companionship and to film his unique way with lions. A lion encounter is never guaranteed. The day's drive is fruitless. But sunset brings the promise of lion activity. Mike doesn't interact with lions at night. It's too dangerous. He'll pick up the trail in the morning and attempt to meet them in full daylight. There's nothing like a herd of belligerent-looking elephants to get one's adrenaline pulsing. But they aren't the big game we're looking for.
Okay, well, there's obviously been a kill here. We can see the vultures up in the tree up ahead, which means normally that there's been a kill. We haven't seen anything at the moment, but may have killed whatever it is. And we're hoping it's lions. We've been on lion tracks the whole morning and suddenly noticed the vultures going down. Whatever's killed is left because the vultures are coming off the ground. When vultures fly up off the ground, it means they've been brave enough to go down and investigate what the carcass is. There it is. Okay, I've got it. Looks like something fairly large. Okay. Very clear, it's a giraffe. I'm going to get out and have a look. Keep your wits about you. There might still be some other lions around. It's never a good idea to approach an unfinished carcass without caution.
Adult giraffes attain a daunting height and weight and are likely to defend themselves with powerful kicks, so it takes a determined group of lions to drag a giraffe down.
Stay close. I'm very confident that we're close on these lions. One thing that I'm not confident about is when you're tracking lions, you've got to take cognizance of the wind. We're very close. The tracks are heading this way. I'm walking straight towards the lions and the wind's not in my favor. Let's hope that it turns at the last minute or the lions have changed direction. Follow me and we'll see.
A lion will usually see you before you see it, and the lone male is plainly in a cautious mood. The trail can be followed by road, but only up to a point. In this part of the world, road is a fairly loose term. Early rains have turned a dusty dip into a swollen river. Mike and his assistant wade the river to check its depth. They decide to risk the crossing. As the team prepares the vehicle for the deep water, an elephant decides to contend the crossing place. Aggressive elephants are no less dangerous than lions. If this elephant commits itself to a charge and catches Mike, it will stab him with its tusks, toss him, and finish him off by trampling his body flat. But elephants, again like lions, have a history of being hunted by humankind, and Mike is able to intimidate his challenger into retreating. With the engine compartment now waterproof, the river can be crossed. Botswana's lions are proving elusive, but Mike hasn't given up on our quest to film a primal confrontation. As they like to say in Africa, tomorrow is another day. Some 3,000 kilometers northeast of Botswana, the other section of the attack team prepares to go in search of the descendants of the maneaters of Tsavo. Here, the Tsavo River merges into the greater Galana River, only a few kilometers from where Colonel Patterson finally killed the 2 maneaters. Time stands still here, in at least one respect. The safari camps are every bit as well ordered as they were in colonial times. Walking safaris are accompanied by armed game scouts. They're under strict orders to fire only in the direst of circumstances. A philosophy of calm avoidance is the best safety measure one can carry into the bush. Mohammed is Ian's chief tracker. His bushcraft is second to none. He's also said to have killed 23 Somali poachers during his years as a game scout. In the bush, everyone follows Mohammed's orders.
Well, this is the edge of the Galana River, which is characterized by a wide margin of what we call salt bush, which is the prevalent bush of this area. And that tends to be the home of just about all the main predators that live along this river: lions, leopard, and cheetah.
Walking in dense bush is risky because the big game species don't like surprises. If they're able to see you from a distance, they can take evasive action. But if you stumble into them, you may receive a violent response. The hesitation is caused not by lions, but a hippopotamus. Mohammed takes command.
Get back, let's get back. There are more people killed in this continent annually by hippo than any other animal. If they sense anything between them and the water, they will just go crazy. And I've seen hippos do that. In the 20 years that we've been operating walking safaris in Tsavo, we've only had to shoot 5 animals, and those were all hippos. They are unpredictable, they're very agile, they can outrun humans with ease, and in their own environment, they are something not to be taken lightly.
Today's walk hasn't yielded any sight of lions. This is hardly surprising, because Tsavo's lions are experts at concealing themselves amid thorn thickets and dense scrub. And, uncannily, they may have had a very close look at us. A lone elephant provides a last reassurance that we're in big game territory. The human species has its own habits. Homecoming at dusk is, for us, as primal a need as nocturnal outings are for lions. Despite millions of years of human evolution, the night still belongs to them. In the bush, elementary human defenses become more obvious. A fire isn't just a pleasant distraction, it's a powerful deterrent to dangerous animals. The following morning, the camera team sets off again. Everyone is willing the lions to show themselves.
down the road further. Can you see the others up on the right there? No. Ikomingi. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like they're hunting as well.
We're rewarded at last with a glimpse of a typical Tsavo pride.
I think the important thing to bear in mind about these lions is the fact that they rely on their basic existence, on not being seen by either by four-legged creatures or us. And so they're very private, very secretive, and very cunning because of that.
Tsavo's male lions lack manes, and science still hasn't established exactly why.
The question of manes, whether short or long, I don't think has actually been thoroughly explained by the so-called experts, and they don't know themselves. It could be environmental. They talk about savanna lions or Serengeti lions, the males displaying themselves so the females can see them immediately, you know, this sort of testosterone. And then they say, well, because of the type of bush, thorn bush we have here, wait a bit thorn, that the long mane is not practical to move through the bush.
Moving to more open terrain, the team was able to get clear footage of a Tsavo male. Minimal manes aren't the only unusual characteristic of Tsavo males. They're said to be unusually active hunters because the harsh Tsavo environment doesn't allow large prides where females cater for males. They also tend to be heavyweights. Indeed, the original man-eaters have been described by some researchers as hyper-males. The first man-eater Patterson shot measured 9 feet 8 inches from tip of nose to tip of tail and stood almost 4 feet high. A team of 8 men was required to carry its body.
Unlike a lot of lions in other areas, these lions don't have big herds to feed from. They're not big herds of zebras or wildebeest in this area. So really the only herds that they've got are buffalo. And buffaloes are very intelligent animals, so they've really got to be very quiet, very secretive, and they've got to stay inside that salt bush. In my opinion, they're the most primitive element of the species. I really believe this. I think you're looking at a pure killing machine. That's all it is. And I think that's what Patterson was faced with as well. Almost like the equivalent of the shark. That's what it does. It moves around looking for food, and that's the end of it.
Lions do sometimes appear to operate in the spirit of circling sharks, but they depart from sharks in that certain prey species frequently fight back. Adult buffalo weigh from 400 to 850 kilograms, at least twice as much as a large male lion. And their horns aren't just for display, they're lethal weapons. Come nightfall, the odds turn in the lion's favor. The lioness will fasten her jaws over the buffalo's mouth to stifle it, and thus prevent it from alerting the possibly vengeful herd. For Mike Penman in Botswana, the search for lions is about to enter a nerve-wracking new dimension.
It's 5:30, early start, new day. We heard lions calling on both sides of the camp, that side and that side. So it gives me Hobson's choice. I have to check there first, check there. We're going to find these lions today.
This is what we've been looking for.
Okay, we've got both these lions pretty relaxed under the bush. They focused on me, definitely haven't gone to sleep. So what I'm going to do is sneak out this side of the car, keeping my body hidden behind the vehicle. Once I realize that they're completely relaxed with me outside the car, I'm going to get down on all fours and crawl towards them, and that should create some interest, and hopefully it's not too much interest. There's no written recipe on how to approach lions on all fours, so for you folks back at home, don't try this. These lions are aware that we're out the car. The one's staring continuously in my direction, keeps checking, so they are aware we're out the car. As an upright human, he'd be scared of me. If I went down on all fours, it'll change his attitude. Let's just show you. Okay, let's go. Come behind me, Jan. Crawl straight towards him. I think he's going to probably scoot, so I'm going to crawl towards this bush in front of me. Okay, we've got the undivided attention.
Lions have individual character. Mike will be meeting the more confident one. Mike carries no firearm, nor does anyone else in the group. If the lion rushes Mike now, he has absolutely no chance of making it back to the vehicle.
He's getting ready.
The slight lashing of the tail indicates sensitivity to a possible threat. Mike has spoken of floating over the edge of the lion's comfort zone. Whether he can exit safely is another matter. The second lion seems to be regaining its confidence. If it joins the proceedings, Mike's situation will become doubly precarious. Mike plays the lion along, trying to keep its psyche balanced on the razor's edge between interest and caution, or between attack and retreat. By looking away from Mike, the lion avoids a direct staring match, and at the same time shows its teeth in profile. The pose is partly defensive, partly threatening. Mike lies back in the grass. This is the least threatening, most submissive pose he can adopt. It also means that if the lion decides to attack, he will have no time to get to his feet. An exploratory jab with a paw could remove Mike's face.
One of the things that you notice when you're really close to a lion and his mouth's open is his very black lip and his canines, which is obviously his weapons that should anything go wrong, that's what he's going to tear you apart with. So one thing that's very prominent is that black lip and the huge canine. I mean, the circumference of the bottom of that canine was about bigger than $1, you know, so very sharp. I could even see the saliva on his lips. And he got very interested in me at the end, came in very close, which probably made him a little more braver than, he was braver than I. I always backed off out of his circle so that I didn't become too obvious a prey. You know, if something doesn't move and he comes in and he sniffs, and he likes what he smells, he's going to give you a cuff. And if that cuff knocks you out or injures you or draws blood, the whole process changes. The cogs go forward and that's what becomes a kill. So our lion's man-eaters, this morning it didn't look like. He was very interested as a toy or a plaything, but I don't think he saw me as a food source. You can imagine that you can threaten the king of beasts with a toilet roll, and that's simply not to knock him out with or, you know, shed tears, but it's basically an object that if he comes right in and it looks as though he's going to have a go at me, I'm going to use this either to throw at him, to make contact with him, or to throw past him, which will distract him for a second. It'll catch his eye, and in that second, that's the second I need to get myself out of the predicament I've just got myself into.
Would Mike be able to interact with the lions along the border between Mozambique and South Africa and live to tell the tale? Dr. Grobler suggests not.
I don't think you'll do it a lot of times here and stay alive. It's something I wouldn't try at all. Not my type of flesh.
In the African wilderness, lions roaring at dusk bring the reminder that we, as a species, are not as absolutely superior as we sometimes imagine. For those who have given their hearts to the wild, the sound provides a special link, much as an evening trumpet call may link old soldiers continents apart. For Mozambicans crossing the border into the promised urban paradise of South Africa, the lion's roar signals something else. Primal terror, the worst of nightmares about to come true. Lions, unlike sharks or crocodiles, possess a quality that makes them seem close to humankind. The complex muscles of their faces form a range of expressions similar to our own. We seem to understand their body language instinctively, and we find them beautiful. So, when they eat people, we're inclined to view them as criminals. But we humans rely more on lions than they rely on us. For if lions were ever to disappear, a vital part of the human psyche would disappear along with them. Lions, of course, know none of this. They are simply themselves.